the cloud. Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move to Sue showing us the nut butter.
Okay, so there are lots of different nut butters that you can make with this. I'm actually doing what's called an ABC nut butter, which has got 3 different types of nuts in. A for almonds, B for Brazil nuts, and C for cashews. So it is a really simple recipe. I've actually been rushing around today and had a parents' evening and all sorts. So I haven't actually roasted the nuts to start with, which does help to give it a good flavour, but it's not essential. It's an optional thing. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is to get going. So the steps are literally adding in the almonds, so adding in the nuts. So it's weighing into the unit here. Starting with the almonds, and weight those. So I'm just going to pop in. Most of this is in metric, but this is doing in ounces. So 5 ounces of raw almonds, 5 ounces of Brazil nuts, carrying in that, and clicking on next here. We've got 5 ounces of raw cashews. Okay, so literally this is going to, when I put the top on, it's going to blend that up for 30 seconds. It goes in 3 stages because it gets very stiff. We're going to have to kind of scoop it round. So I won't show you all of that. But just talking a little bit about the cost savings. Do you want me to do that? Will you hear me if I do it whilst it's running?
No, I don't think we will. So okay. We'll leave you to grind it when we pass over to Michaela, and then you can scrape down and you, like you say, you grind it 2 or 3 times, don't you? But yes, if you want to just talk through some of the cost savings, that'd be great, Sue.
Yeah. So there's various examples. So if you take a typical small jar of cashew butter, for example, from Sainsbury's, will cost £2.70 to buy a jar, which is 170 grams. Now, cashews that I buy, which are basically these from Lidl, are £1.59 for a 200 gram bag. So that works out equivalently, because there's no added ingredients in this apart from nuts. If I was just doing a cashew butter, for instance, that would work out at £1.35 for the equivalent weight. So £2.70 reduced to £1.35, and that is basically half price. So you would be saving £1.30 right there. Now, if I add in the combination of the nuts, the cashews, the almonds and Brazils are slightly more expensive. It works out at £1.49.80, so as good as £1.50 for an equivalent sized jar, compared with the £2.70. So even that with more expensive nuts is a really good saving, and that's just one thing that we can make that will get you that sort of daily saving.
Great. Well, we'll let you get it kicked off. Go on, turn it to full speed and grind it, and then we'll move over to Michaela, and then you can show us the nut butter at the end. But it couldn't be easier, really. It's incredible when you make something like this. And Nutella is another great one to make, for all those reasons that Sarah said. There's no palm oil in it. It tastes delicious, and it's cheaper than buying it as well, the branded version. So let's move over to Michaela then. And she's going to start the curry.
I am. Thank you very much. I'm also going to change my camera view so I'm up here. So I'm making the buttered chicken, and basically I've cooked a few steps, but I've already made tikka paste, which I have in my fridge, and that really does cost minimum, but of course serves a huge amount of meals in this. So basically it's telling me to put the chicken in a bowl and add the chicken tikka paste, and what you'll see here is I've already done that. It's been marinating. Mine's been marinating for about 4 hours now, so that is going to be really, really tasty. So if I go into the curry, it's saying remove the bowl. Here we go. So now it wants me to add 40 grams of ghee. I don't use ghee. What I do use is I use this coconut oil, but it's odorless, so it's not so strong for anybody who's a bit sensitive to the taste of coconut. So I'm just going to put that in there. I've just realized it was the only thing that I haven't weighed out tonight, so sorry about that. As you can see though here, what the Thermomix, for those new those that don't have Thermomix, I'm weighing straight into the bowl here, and I got a second benefit out of this. Is I have a very small kitchen, and I got rid of so many of my blenders, weighing scales, bread maker, fast cooker and slow cooker. So I really made up loads of room in my kitchen. So that ghee is about to melt. I think I should have done that before, shouldn't I? Sorry about that. But
that's okay, because I start jittering.
So as you can see here, this is homemade tikka paste that I've marinated the chicken in, and this tikka paste that I'm making, this full jar cost me, and it's a big 500-gram jar, cost me about £2.50 to make in total, and it lasts me probably a good 2 months with all the meals that I make in there. So putting all this together, just to go around talking around the cost for you, the chicken with all the extra ingredients, a homemade beads 4 costs about £5 for 4 people. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm actually going to make some alternatives, because we don't eat dairy here. Oh, we definitely don't do it this week, and so it will be a little bit more expensive, but there goes in the onions, and there goes in the ginger. Look, so just fresh ginger going in there next, and the fresh coriander. Again, all these lovely products, look, all just fresh. Actually, my coriander's quite lively. Look, normally it's well wilted by the time I get around to making a curry. 3 cloves of garlic. There we go. So making a curry from scratch in the Thermomix could not be any easier. It's something I wouldn't have done before I had a Thermomix. It would have been something I would definitely picked up the ready meal packs in the supermarket. So if I think about those costs that I used to buy, one of those ready meal packs for a family of 4 used to cost me about 20. All those vegetables are all chopping up right now. So straight away, I'm saving myself making this £15 saving just by making myself, well, my family, a curry once a week rather than buying the supermarket home. So look at that. Again, for the new guys, these are, look how easy it chops up all your vegetables.
What was that, about 5 seconds, 7 seconds, something like that?
10 seconds, yeah, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Look at that. You will never get it cut like that by hand in that amount. Right, so now it wants to do is it's going to simmer those, and I'm just going to put the simmering basket on, and that's just going to allow the steam to escape, and that's going to cook for 5 minutes. So would you like me to go straight to the almond milk, or
no, I think you're going to come to me for yogurt, for jam, actually, to start with. Yeah, and remember, I mean, the savings are going to be even greater when you make it yourself, as opposed to buying a takeaway, which a lot of people do. And in fact, I have a customer very early on who really struggled to justify the price of the Thermomix, and her husband was like, no, we're not buying one, it's ridiculous. Then we sat down and worked out how much money she was spending on takeaways, and it was about 10 times what the month or weekly cost of her Thermomix worked out at, because they were having 2 takeaways every week. It was unbelievable. So after that, it was a no-brainer. And what was really special with her is that she wasn't a chef, she couldn't cook, which is why she relied on convenience food and takeaways. But actually having the Thermomix has given her the confidence to cook now. And it's lovely to see her exploring so many different things. Right, I'm going to get on with the jam. Now, jam is a real joy to make in the Thermomix. I've got here some strawberries. Now, a lot of them actually are past their best. I bought them on the market. Can you see that one? It's really manky. I just wouldn't eat it. I've taken out all the sort of nasty bits. Don't tell my children, but it really doesn't matter when you're going to cook it all up for jam. And I buy my strawberries at about £1 a punnet. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, I go at the end of the day, I can get them for about 50p a punnet, which is brilliant. And you can, this is a great way of using up any soft fruit that's going past its best. So here's about 500 grams. So that's just going to go straight into the Thermomix. And just telling me to put them in, just hold them. I'm just going to chop them up. So I'm going to just come off of my recipe for a couple of seconds and just chop them up for speed 5 for a couple of seconds. I don't want to turn them to mush, but I just want to chop them. It saves me having to cut them in halves and quarters by hand. So that's perfect. So I've still got some nice chunky strawberry bits. But it's just going to mean that I'm not going to have the whole fruit in there. If you want the whole fruit, you can leave it in. But I know what my family are like. So let's click on next. Now it wants me to add in 20 grams of lemon juice. So here we are. Just got a lemon here, which I've halved. My squeezer. You don't have to put the lemon juice in, actually. Sometimes I don't, but as I had one to hand, I thought I'd put it in. I'll put the rest in, and I never throw things like this out when I haven't used the whole lemon. I always keep them. I'll keep that in the fridge. I'll probably add that into some lemonade when I make it the next time, or in any other recipes where I need a squeeze of lemon. So no need to bin it. Right, 200 grams of sugar. Now I need to get a bag of sugar out. And my bag of sugar, I think, has been put away. Right, let me go and get it back out again. It's amazing. I have a cleaning fairy here who just goes around putting things away that I get out. Right, let's come back in. Put my sugar in. Nice new packet. So I'm not using, straight away you'll notice I'm not using jam sugar. Some recipes will call for jam sugar, but actually with strawberries, you don't really need jam sugar because they've got enough pectin inside the fruit. So a couple of 100 grams. And here, I mean, if you wanted to play about with the sugar, you could reduce it a little bit. You can also do something really great, which is a chia seed jam. So you can use chia seeds to thicken the jam and then just use the natural sweetness of the fruit. So it'll be a little bit sharper than obviously making a traditional jam, but it's one for the health conscious. Okay, so let's click on next. And then it wants me to put on the Verona dish. So this is just to stop. So this is the Verona, the steaming unit that sits on top of the Thermomix bowl. And usually we would cook vegetables or protein or chicken in here. But actually here it's being used a bit like a splatter guard because the as the Thermomix heats up and the strawberries and sugar sort of heat up, it will start bubbling over. So this will just mean that it will catch all the bubbles and it will condense back down into the bowl. So it won't make a mess everywhere. And we, of course, don't need to stir it because we've got our Thermomix doing it for us. So what's going to happen now is it's just going to take over. I've got a 25-minute cook time on there. It's Verona temperature, which is a high temperature. It's about 120 degrees. And I'm just going to turn that speed selector to speed 1. Now it's telling me to prolong the cooking time by 10 minutes more if necessary. We'll see how we get on. And some people are a little bit scared of making jam because they don't know how to test if it's ready. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So I'm just going to pop a plate, a small saucer, into the freezer now so it's really cold. And I'll show you how to test the setting point of jam. But jam is such a joy to make in the Thermomix. This will cost me, I mean, I've got great quality British strawberries. It's going to cost me £1.50 effectively to make this with the sugar in it. And it's going to give me a weight of about 500 grams or so. So a jar of Bon Maman is just shy of, I think, £3 for about half the amount. So there again, you've got a great saving versus buying a really good quality product off the shelf. We know exactly what's in it, nothing added, and all fresh ingredients. And it's just great. I mean, I think it's so rewarding to do this. And it's fantastic if you just want to whip up some scones and think, oh, just make some fresh jam to serve with them, a bit of afternoon tea. You can make your own butter in the Thermomix. You've got people popping round, and it's a great thing that you can show off with as well. Not that I like showing off. Well, everybody knows I love showing off, especially when I've got the opportunity to show off my Thermomixes. So that's the jam. Right, on this machine here, I want to make a couple of doughs now. So I'm going to go straight into making doughs, and of course just need to wait for my machine to wake up because while I was talking, it's just shut itself down. So we've
Lindsay, I am just adding all the spices into the curry.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
So yeah, let's go to you then. Yeah, let's go to Michaela and add her spices. That'd be a great idea.
What I've done is I've literally just done it, but that's all cooked, and it asked me to add cumin. There was ground cumin, ground coriander, and some turmeric. and some salt in there. The next thing it's going to ask me to do is I'll put the lid on and cook that for a little bit longer. And what that's going to do, it's going to heat up for 3 minutes, and then it's really going to release all those lovely curry smells and spices, and just fill this kitchen with delicious smells. So I've done that. Has your machine woken up, Lindsay?
Yes, here we go, back into action. Okay, right, so these are quick flatbreads. Now, these are something that I've only discovered recently by a bit of a mistake, actually. In fact, it was Sarah who initially did them, and she serves them with hummus when people come around. So they're absolutely fantastic. And we've got another advisor who has done them as well. And that's a great thing about our community. So when you buy a Thermomix, it's not like buying a food process or just anything else that you would just go into John Lewis maybe or a department store, buy it, you get it home, you're on your own. That doesn't happen at all with Thermomix, because you've got an entire community of support, both with your from your advisor, but then from all the communities on Facebook. And for new people here tonight, if you want to join my Facebook group, which is Thermomix Whiz Customer Group, so I think Claire could just pop the details in the chat, then please feel free. And that group is there to inspire existing owners and new customers, just to demonstrate what is possible with the Thermomix and just keep you using it to get the most out of it. Which is really, really important. Okay, so it's telling me I've got my recipe on my screen, and it wants me to put in 350 grams of strong white flour. Now, strong flour is bread flour. I often use, because there's going to be no yeast involved in this recipe, it's super quick, there's no gluten development, so I often use just a plain flour. I'm going to halve the recipe tonight because I've got these things coming out my ears. So can somebody tell me what half of 350 is? Is it 100? Oh no, 175. There we go. 175. I'm quite capable of working that out, but when I'm on the spot in front of 50 or so people, it's not going to happen. Right. Okay. So click on next. Now it's going to ask me to put in 250 grams of plain yogurt. Now I'm going to celebrate tonight because my team who know me, my customers know me, will know that this yogurt has become a little bit, well, quite famous on the group. So I made this yogurt quite a while ago, and it over fermented, and we couldn't eat it. It was very acidic, didn't taste very nice. But I thought, great, I'm going to use it. I'm not going to throw it. It wasn't growing mold, so I knew it was safe to eat. It just didn't taste very nice. So I have been gradually using it up in a whole variety of dishes. We've made pizzas, I've made loads of flatbreads, I've made yogurt cake, I've made a whole range of things. And now I'm going to celebrate because this is the last of it. So it's going to go and I don't ever have to use it again. So hopefully this will just give me 125 grams. So I'm just halving the recipe. This will make 4 flatbreads actually. The whole recipe will make 8. And I've still got a little bit left. You can't believe it, can you? I haven't quite finished it. Right, a teaspoon of baking powder. So again, you could use this for a quick pizza dough if you wanted to. Put in a little bit of baking powder, right, and then some salt. So if you've never made bread before, it doesn't matter when you've got a Thermomix because it just walks you through it step by step. Then I'm going to put the lid on. The jam is smelling amazing, actually. Next to me, ½ teaspoon of sugar. Where's my sugar gone? Just shoving a little bit of sugar. Again, if you were following a restricted diet, not consuming sugar, you don't have to put it in there. It's just there to boost the flavour a little bit. Put the lid on. It's going to mix for 15 seconds at speed 6. You don't need to think, how much, what speed do I use? It should get all to me on the screen. I'm just going to stop that because I know it won't need the 15 seconds. It's asking me to scrape down the sides of the bowl, which I'm not going to bother doing either. Then I'm just going to set off a 1-minute knead function. So it's just going to knead it together for a minute. Now, Michaela, has your curry reached the next stage? Am I putting you on the spot here?
No, right, you could go on for 4 minutes because I've added the water. So I've literally just added water now and it's got another 4 minutes.
So in Michaela's, so all Michaela's done, she added the spices, they cooked out for 5 minutes, and now she's just adding some water, and that's cooking out for another 4 or 5 minutes. So while that's happening, Michaela doesn't need to do anything with her Thermomix. She can walk away, put her feet up, have a glass of wine, not this week because she's doing a gut reset program, help the kids with their homework, clear the kitchen, empty the dishwasher, load the dishwasher, whatever it is. But what it does mean is that you don't need to be stood over your machine, watching it and stirring it like you would do if you had a pan on the hob. You'd have to be constantly looking at it, making sure it wasn't too hot, that it was at the right temperature, and stirring it so that things didn't catch on the bottom. So it's just a way of being a lot more hands-off, but still producing great food. So here's my dough.
Look at that, lovely.
You can see, lovely flatbread dough. I'm just going to get that out. I've got a little bit round the side where, of course, I just ignored the instruction to scrape down the sides, and now I've got a little bit of yogurt dough kicked up around the side, but never mind, that'll do. And now I'm going to go straight into my pizza dough. So the pizza dough is just slightly different because we're going to put yeast into it. Now this is my own pizza dough recipe. It is similar to the one on Cookie Dough. So if you don't know what you're doing to start with, you can follow the Cookie Dough recipe, the steps of the Cookie Dough recipe, and use either your own pizza dough recipe that you know and love, or you can use mine, or you can use the Cookie Dough one. It doesn't really matter. But as I'm using mine, I'm just going to put my scales on and you'll see how easy it is. And the reason I use mine is I'll let you into a little secret. This is actually Pizza Express's pizza dough recipe. So I have got a very old Pizza Express cookbook from the 1980s, written by the founder of Pizza Express himself. I was very pleased when I found it on eBay many years ago. It was a great find, and it's got every single recipe from every single Pizza Express pizza, including their dough and their dough balls. I'm just going to halve it. Normally I would do 500 grams, but I made some earlier, so I've got a big bag sitting there. I'm going to put in 250 grams, and this is strong bread flour. And I've got the whole community basically using this pizza dough recipe. Everybody loves it. So 250 grams of flour.
One of our first ever ones that we did, Lindsay, when I was your customer, my family were blown away with this. And of course, you can make massive ones for pence.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm just going to put in 1 teaspoon of, this is the sort of the active dried yeast. So it's the one with the green label on it. So I have a lot of customers that make the mistake and buy this one with the yellow label. The difference between the two is the yellow one you need to rehydrate. So it just takes a little bit longer. You would put it in the water and let it soften up for sort of 10-15 minutes. So the active dried one is the one that you want because you can go straight into the flour with it. So that's a teaspoon of active dried yeast, then a teaspoon of sugar. So the general rule of thumb when you're making sort of bread dough is you use 2% of the weight of the flour weight for your yeast and your sugar and your salt. That's what it sort of works out to. So I'm going to put in about 5 grams of sugar. In fact, it's really interesting when you make your own pizza dough because you can control the ingredients that you go in. When you taste Domino's pizzas, or if you go to Prep Style Pizza Express and taste the dough after you've been used to making your own for a while, you'll find it very sweet. So they put a lot more sugar in, which doesn't surprise me because sugar is added to absolutely everything these days. So another reason for making it yourself. So I've just put in 5 grams of sugar, and then I need some water. So I would normally put in about 300 or so grams, 300 to 325 of water for my 500 gram flour weight. I'm just going to make my water warmish. And so obviously I'm going to use half of that. So I'm going to use about 150 grams. Now, the other little trick when you are making pizza is there's truly no waste when you make it yourself. You get into a little sort of rhythm with it. This is some pizza dough that I made earlier, so I've got a lot here. But any dough that I have left over from when I make pizzas or flatbreads or naans or whatever it is, I always put it back in the fridge, and I keep it in the fridge. And then I will take out portions as and when I need them. So I would take out 100 grams if I just want to make a pita bread, until I've got a bit left. And the bit left, which is unusable, you can't really use it to make anything, I always keep it and add it in to my next batch of dough. It's called a poulish in bread making, but what it does is, first of all, it ensures no waste, but secondly, it just improves the flavour actually of the dough. So my dough, it's a bit of a joke actually, that when I was doing a demo recently, somebody asked me how old my dough was, and I said 5 years, and they thought I'd made a mistake, and they thought I meant 5 weeks, and I was questioned on it, and I know it's about 5 years. In fact, it's probably more than that, because I just always keep a portion of that bread dough back and pop it in to my next batch of dough. So that's all been weighed in, as you can see, ever so easy. All I'm going to do now is put the dough function on. If you're on a guided recipe, this would come on automatically, and I'm just going to set a 2-minute knead on it, and then click knead, and that's it. It's as easy as that. And then here's my flatbread dough, and I'm going to show you how to work with the doughs a little bit later on in the session. So now I think I'm going to hand over to what am I doing? Oh, is it back to me for the yogurt? Oh no, actually it's back to Michaela for the chicken. Fabulous.
So that is sweated down all the spices and the onions and the garlic, look, and just some water. So can you see it's getting that richness of the colour, the Indian vibe in there. So all I'm going to add now is just asking me to add the marinated chicken. And as I say, because this has been marinating for so long, it is just going to be super, super tasty. And again, you'll get that red, rich colour contrasting in there with the yellow. So press next now. It's asking me to put in 70 grams of tomato puree. And again, look how easy this is. Straight into the one pot. This is all we're doing. I mean, I remember once, many years ago, and this is why it put me off, I did make an Indian curry, and I think I used every single pot and pan in the kitchen, and it gave me a nervous breakdown, basically. Way too high maintenance for me. Now, this is also asking me to add, can I just check that? Yeah, add the memory. It's asking me to do 500 grams of single cream. Now here's a really great cheat for you all out there, for your existing customers, but also for you new ones. And if you want to save even more money on this dish, and you want to be healthy, and it's a Weight Watch Slimmers World one on here that you could alternative is, don't add 500 grams of cream, add 1 tin of cream of tomato soup, and then 100 grams of cream. But I'm not eating any dairy this week, and I am just so looking forward to this curry, because everything has been very plant-based in my healthy eating I'm doing. So I'm putting in this plant-based creme fraiche. Now it's a little bit more expensive, but even by using this plant-based creme fraiche, which is super healthy, it will only make this £7 for the entire dish, and that will feed a family of 4. So again, imagine £7 for your own homemade, cooked from scratch bake away. Honestly, you just could not get anything more healthier. And as I say, what you've got here now is everything, all the ingredients you know, no extra oils and fat, which restaurants and takeaway food, they have to use these ingredients so it preserves the food. So I don't want to slate it totally, but of course we're all becoming really body conscious now. So now what it's asking me to do is put this on, and it's going to cook away for, and you probably can't see this on here, but following this guided recipe, that silver blade really cuts really strongly, but when it just needs to stir, here, look, the blade goes on reverse automatically, and it just stirs. So what that means is that blade's going to be on reverse on the flat side, and I don't have to stand there at all, stirring that in there, which means I can go off and do something else. And I think I'm cracking on with just the almond milk here, aren't I? Just to show you.
Hang on, no, we're doing almond milk towards the end. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was back to me for the yogurt. However, I'm going to ask Sarah if you're ready. My yogurt hasn't quite cooled down. My milk hasn't quite cooled down enough to the point where I'm comfortable putting in the yogurt starter. So if Sarah is ready and could jump in and do her custard, yep, and the naked bars, that'd be great.
Yep, okay, so we'll start with the custard. This does take 7 minutes to cook. Right, so I'm going to begin by putting in 1 lemon zest only, and then the 60 to 100 grams of sugar. but I'm just going to put in not quite so much, cut down the sugar. I put in 70 grams there, and then put the lid on, and then it's going to stir it for 20 seconds. It's milling it. So again, you know what's going into your custard. It's so exciting because we love custard. We're having this banana custard and dessert tonight. 5 seconds left.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of fun flavour, like chocolate custard as well, in exactly the same way by adding some cocoa.
So we did this at Pat's demo on Monday, custard and then a layer of chocolate custard on top of some lovely fruit. It was amazing, apparently, not that I was allowed to have any.
And yeah, I was looking at the layered custards. That looked delicious. All right, now I'm adding some corn flour. Just make sure I am the corn flour. 30 grams of corn flour. And again, this will make about 700 grams of custard. So 2 eggs, and then 500 grams of milk. This is all weighing it as I go along. I did roughly weigh it out earlier. Oh, there you go. And then we are the lid on.
Yeah. I do put in a plant-based, my almond milk in that custard, if anybody's looking for alternative as well. So
now it's cooking it at 90 degrees for 7 minutes. So while that's cooking, hold on, turn yourself off. I'll carry on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
With the cocoa and orange bars, we love these. They're really healthy snack. And these are so much cheap. These work out 23p a bar compared to 85p for the shop bought. So line a square tin, which I've done. So I'm going to do the cashew nuts, 160 grams of cashew nuts, and then it chops these up. And then it's going to just chop these cashew nuts up for 30 seconds. And okay, sorry, I didn't talk then because I'm not sure whether you could hear me. It was quite noisy because it's chopping nuts. So I'm just going to scrape down the edges. So what I love about this is the children love these and they don't quite realise how healthy they are. Because there's no added sugar. Just has the fruit, the dates to these dates. So Majuli dates. Those. They're pitted and I've just halved them. And then some raisins. And then we're going to do some cocoa powder. This is the little treat. This is why the kids eat it. Just 4 tablespoons of the cacao powder. Then the zest of 2 oranges. And that's it. And that will mix that for 30 seconds. And these are so good. There we go. And these are just brilliant for, you know, taking the kids off, you know, after picking them up from school. And it is, so we get through quite a lot through the week. So it's says scrape down the edges, but it doesn't actually build up much on the edges. I'm just gonna, so it's my 15 seconds, and that would be it.
These are so great to make, aren't they? So we couldn't believe it the first time. I think both you and I made them. How quick and tasty they were. And it's quite easy actually to eat an entire tray of them. They're that moreish.
We get through a lot of these.
And there's lots of different variations on this. So you can make some of the energy balls, the bliss balls, which are very popular. There's all sorts of different flavour combinations. So I've done a lemon and coconut one, which are lovely. Carrot cake version. You can do chocolate and hazelnut, obviously chocolate and orange. And then there are lots of different sort of healthy fruit and nut bars that you can make too. And this is just a one example of all the hundreds of recipes available to you through Cookie Do.
There's lots of them, but this is the kids' favourite, so we'll get through plenty of these. But it's just, again, it's just that favourite of mine. There's no preservatives and no additives in here. Sweetness comes from the dates. My kids never eat a date. You just hand them a date. But I never told them when they first started eating these. Of course, I never told them what's in it. And that's it. So I'm just now pressing it down in this tin, which I bind with cling film. And that's it. And I'll put that in the fridge for a couple of hours, and then I'll just cut it into the bars. And that's it. So the cost saving here, yeah, it's basically £2.50 to buy 3 bars in the shops. That's about 85p each. And it's a third of the price to make them on your own. So 23p for 1 bar. And the amount we get through is quite saving. It all mounts up. I'm going to pop this in the fridge. And my custard has 1 minute 40 to go.
Okay, so do you want, Claire, if you can come back to me now. I think I might just get away with yogurt. I wanted to show yogurt because, I mean, yogurt is a fantastic example of cost saving, but also people are always quite interested by how you can ferment it. It's a particular feature of the Thermomix. You can ferment your yogurt in the Varoma dish. So it's a very versatile machine that you can make. I mean, we're showing you a huge variety of stuff that can be made tonight, which is great for newcomers because you can just see all the different features. In fact, we're not even scratching the surface of all of the different features of the Thermomix. We're only showing you of just a few of the examples, but lots of different things can be achieved by one machine. So again, great if you're sort of space compromised. If you don't have a big kitchen like Michaela, we've got people, Sarah's got a motorhome, we go away in our motorhome, Michaela's got a motorhome. Great if you've got a caravan and you're touring around, because actually you don't need to take lots of different appliances with you when you can just have a Thermomix. So I'm going to show you the yogurt. So in here, I've actually doubled the yogurt recipe. So in here, because I like to make about sort of 20 jars at a time, I've got 4 children. So if I make yogurt, I want it to last about a week, because when I make this, it flies out of the fridge because it's absolutely delicious. I would liken it to the quality of a Muller yogurt, a Muller corner. It's that delicious. So what I've done in here, I always use UHT milk in my yogurt. It's a little tip I picked up years ago from somebody who used to make a lot of yogurt. And it just seems to have a creamier flavour. Now, one of the benefits as well, if you use UHT milk, is technically you do not need to bring the milk up to simmering point before you make your yogurt. So you can just sort of go straight in with all the other ingredients. In reality, I found when I have done that, and I have tried that recently, I don't find the yogurt lasts as long if I don't do that. And hence why I ended up with my over fermented fizzy 2 kilogram jar instead of lots of lovely little pots a few weeks ago. So I sort of had my fingers a little bit burned by trying to cheat. And now I've just gone back to the traditional way, which is the way that Cookie Do will talk you through it on the screen. And that is, you would bring your milk up to simmering point, about 80 degrees, for about 10 minutes, and then let it cool down to about 45 degrees. So it's safe to put your starter yogurt culture in. If you try and put your yogurt in before it reaches that temperature, you're going to end up killing the live bacteria. So you won't end up with yogurt the next morning. It won't set, it will still just be milk. Right, so all I've done, I've doubled the quantity. It should be about a litre. I've maxed it out and put 2 litres in. I've also got a vanilla pod in there, which I'm not going to try and remove. I'll just try and dig it out when I come across it when I fill my yogurt jars. So now I'm going to add in, if you're in a pattern of regularly making yogurt, always keep back one of your jars to start your next batch with. I obviously can't do that, so I have got some yogurt that I bought, and I have got an open one in here. So this is what you want to use. You want to use, I use this Yo Valley one. This is, any sort of live yogurt will be fine. It just needs the live cultures in it. So I'm going to add in about 100 grams of starter yogurt.
Lindsay, somebody's asked if you can make dairy-free yogurt. I've not made it personally.
Michaela does it all the time, actually.
Yeah, I do. I do 2 lots actually. I do lactose free, which is not fully dairy free, but it's lactose, which is what my intolerance is, and I use lactose free milk. But my original starter a long time ago was a plant-based Greek style yogurt, and I've also made it with my plant-based cream as well, which was really thick. And Cookie do have several plant-based ones, which there's coconut, and I forgot what the other one is, but there are several plant-based ones on there. But you can, if it's only lactose that you're intolerant to, get the lactose UHT milk. It's £1.40. It still makes gorgeous Greek style set yogurt.
Lovely, thanks for that, Michaela. Right, so while Michaela was just talking to you about her yogurt, I've just added in, you can see my Thermomix bowl is quite full now. So that's going to be a bit challenging to try and decant it out. I'm going to make a bit of a mess. I've just added in some full fat milk powder. Now you can use skim. So when you're making yogurt, I'm doing it with full fat milk and dairy products, but you can of course use skimmed milk and skimmed milk powder, and it will still work. But I've just got, you can order these on Amazon. I buy these in Booker wholesale, and I buy, I think this is 2 kilograms of milk powder for about £10. So it's actually really, it works out cheaper buying it in that way. So I put in my about 150 grams of full fat milk powder, which is slightly more than the recipe tells you to. And the reason for that is I find it just makes a thicker yogurt. And then it also asks you to add a little bit of sugar, about 40 grams per kilogram of milk. But I've just put in about 60 grams. You can miss out the yogurt, the sugar if you want to. So if you just want sugar-free yogurt, then absolutely miss it out. But I find my kids get a bit funny about that. And then I'm also going to add in, just because I like to do this, a couple of probiotic capsules. You don't have to, but these are got some great benefits for your gut, and they'll just replicate in the yogurt when it ferments. So it just makes sense to add them in. You can actually start yogurt with probiotic capsules, with good quality probiotic capsules, instead of using a yogurt starter if you want to. Right, now it's wanting me to put the lid on. I think that's a clean lid.
Could have
bread dough on it, but never mind.
Yogurt.
And then I'm just going to mix it all together. So 5 seconds at speed 4. It's just going to mix together. And I might just run it.
I in my yogurt, especially my lactose-free yogurt, I've never added salt, sugar, or milk powders or anything. I literally is my starters, and I've always had it set really well. But of course, I use mine in cooking. Yeah. Okay. I use mine a lot in cooking because again, I use it as an alternative.
Yeah. So you can see now I'm right at the top of my Thermomix bowl. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill my jars. Now these little jars are about 120 ml. I've just ordered these on Amazon. They come in boxes of 12 and they're very cheap. Now, because I am so full, I think it's going to make a bit of a mess when I try and pour it. So I'll just do a couple and see how we get on. That's not too bad. So I'm just going to fill my jars up. I'm not going to fill all of them because I'm sure you don't really want to see me filling 20 jars of yogurt up. So I'm just going to give you a general idea of what you do. So imagine I have filled all my jars with yogurt. Then what you want to do, let's get a Thermomix bowl, put some water in here. So you put make sure, so obviously you'll use the same Thermomix bowl that you've just made your yogurt mixture in. So it will tell you to clean out the bowl. it gives you an instruction here: divide between 8 small glass jars, seal with the lids, and then place them into the aroma dish. It tells you to rinse the mixing bowl, then add 250 grams of water and some lemon juice. That just stops the stainless steel sort of base rusting, but in reality, I leave water in my bowls all the time and it never rusts. So it's absolutely fine, but it's always preferable to follow the instructions. And then what you will do is, let's find a lid. So you just pop your lid on, get your aroma dish. You put your lids on your yogurt pots. Now these yogurt pots, I always put them through the dishwasher after they're used. And then I put them into my cupboard. And when I come to make a new batch, I then put them all in the oven and just heat them up in a sort of 100-degree oven for half an hour, just to kill any kind of growth or bacteria that might be in there. So you put your lids on, pop them into your aroma dish like this, and then put the lid of the aroma on, and our fermentation mode will come on. So if I click on next, on my dials, I've got 10 hours at 70 degrees, and I just click start. So it's going to ferment that yogurt for me. The bowl temperature is going to be 70, but what that means, which is obviously too hot for yogurt, you don't want it to be 70 or the live cultures. By the time the sort of the heat rises in here, you'll get a lovely temperature of about 38, 40 degrees, sort of body temperature. And after 10 hours, you will have beautiful set yogurt. Now, you can only fit about 8 jars in there. Sometimes you can cram in 10. The way I managed to sort of double everything up is, obviously you'll see I've got 2 Thermomixes here. So I will employ both this evening to cook my yogurt. So I'll end up with a lot of jars. And then the ones that I can't fit in there, I will just run tomorrow. So I'll just pop them in the fridge and then run them probably during the day tomorrow, the extra ones. So it costs, I mean, the cost savings on yogurt are phenomenal, actually. So my little girl's just going to bed, so I'm just going to say night-night to her. Bye-bye, darling. Say hello to everybody.
Night-night.
Night-night. So I can make 2 kilograms of top quality, delicious yogurt for about £2. It's not quite £2, but £2 is just easier. Muller Corners, if I was going to sort of buy a similar quality of Muller Corners, I would usually buy them in, I think they come in 6-packs, don't they? And I think it was about £9, something like that, to buy the equivalent quantity of Muller Corners. So you can see, I mean, £2 versus £9 is an extraordinary saving. And of course, with the Muller Corners, you've got all the little bits, but you can put your cereal in, you can put your mini Smarties in, and we can put our homemade jam in. So, which happily, I'm not quite sure whether that's there. Actually, while I'm on the subject of my jam, I might need to give this one another 10 minutes because my strawberries were wet, so they probably need to evaporate off a bit. I'm just going to show you with the plate. Let's give it a little test while we're doing it. So you can see here, well, I don't know, it might be there. So I've put my jam onto a really cold plate, and if I can draw my spoon across the middle and the line stays, it's at setting point. So there we go. So I think that jam is set, and I'm not going to cook it anymore. Even though it looks quite liquid, I think if I cook it anymore, yeah, I mean, it's clinging to the spoon nicely as well. So I think if I cook it anymore, I'm at danger of it sort of slightly overcooking and turning brown, which I don't want. Yeah, looks fine. So that jam is set. So I had to do nothing with that jam. All I need to do now is find a jar to put it in, which I don't have handy. And there's a great trick with filling your jam jars when you've cooked your jam in the Thermomix, because if you can imagine, I've got a jam jar underneath here. I've got a mug. I use, can you see, this is our Thermomix mixing bowl lid, and this is effectively a jam funnel. So if I just put that on top like that, I can then just pour my jam straight into my jars without having to use a jam funnel. So you don't have to buy one if you don't already have one. So that's a great little trick as well. And it works for everything, anything that you make, chutneys, pickles, spreads, and anything that you want to get into a jar, you can use the Thermomix lid as a funnel to get it into the jar, which is great. So I think, is that me over with, or am I going to do, no, I think we're going over to Sue first of all to make the hummus, and then Michaela for the almond milk, and then back to me for the pizza dough, so I can just finish that off. So hopefully you're still with us. This is great. We've been cooking about 45 minutes and look how much we've got through. It's amazing.
Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to show you the result of the nut butter, which you can see is this nice texture. It's really ground it well. So it does it in 3 stages. You haven't all seen that, but the first stage just grinds the nuts down, then it goes a little bit further, then it starts releasing the oils, and you come out in this lovely paste texture, which I can just pop into this jar. I shall kind of do that later, but you can basically see how that's kind of turned out. So it's brilliant that that makes that all as it is. So what I'm going to do now is to go on to the hummus. Just bear with me a second. Okay, here we go. So I'm doing what's the best basic hummus recipe, because again, there's several different recipes and different flavors that you can do. But I'm going to do this one. Let's just grab my other bowl. Okay. So starting off with garlic. Now it says 2 garlic cloves. I'm just going to put 1 in because actually I found 2 can be a bit too strong for my son, who is the biggest hummus eater of all. So I'll just do the 1. And then we've got 2 tins of chickpeas, basically drained and rinsed. So they're going in here. Okay. 60 grams of water, which I'll just weigh in as we go. So just pouring that in. 60.
I actually use the water from the can of chickpeas
yes.
in here, just so that I don't, again, to minimise waste. And I think, why not?
Indeed, yes. Then we've got lemon juice. So I've squeezed the lemon. We'll just pop that in. Okay. Extra virgin olive oil. Now again, I sometimes do a bit of normal olive oil actually in combination with that. It's just really to taste and what works best. But this particular one, I've got about 50 grams of extra virgin and 20 of normal olive oil. So just pop that in. And then toasted sesame seeds. Now again, I don't always put these in actually. If I want a really quick hummus, it tastes brilliant even just without this, but I have toasted up some sesame seeds, so we'll stick those in. Then half a teaspoon of salt. Just put that in there. Okay. Put the lid on, and I'll just set that to mix. And I'll see if I can talk. Tell me if you can hear me talking whilst that's going. Thumbs up if you can hear me.
Talk again. Talk again. No.
So when we have the icing on hummus, I haven't got all the individual ingredients.
I can't hear her.
I think, Sue, we're going to come back to you. We'll come back to you when it's blended. We'll go to Michaela for the almond milk, and then when it's all blended up, we'll come back to you and you can talk through the cost savings.
Okay. Hi again. So my buttered chicken is all done. I put it into this bowl because we're not going to eat it till tomorrow, but look at that. And I've just shoved in some mushrooms. But really rich, really creamy, but it's actually a really healthy version. So I'll put that in there. Now to the almond milk, this again, that pizza dough that Lindsay did and this almond milk was the first things that I that made in my Thermomix, and I've never looked back. So I've only ever eaten, drank or used almond milk. As I say, I'm lactose intolerant. So all I've done here is I've weighed out 200 grams of almonds, and these have been soaking in water. It says about 5 hours. I tend to do it either first thing in the morning and make it at night, or I let them soak overnight. So I'm just going to start cooking now. Again, the Thermomix is telling you to do this. Look, it's saying place a jug, a bowl on the lid, weigh out 200 grams, and then cover with cold water and set in the fridge for a minimum of 6 hours. Rinse out your soaked almonds of the water, which I've already done, and then add your soaked, drained, very soft almonds into the bowl. Press next, and then add 1,000 grams or a litre of water. So being an old hat of using almond and using plant-based water, plant-based milk, is just a little tip. When you're making your own, firstly, always use a filtered water. You know, you have lots of ones that really separate, and it just isn't. If you use a good filtered water, then it won't always do that, especially not in your cooking. Now, this is going to set for 3 minutes to whiz up. So I don't know whether Sue's finished. We might want to go back over to Sue and then come back and I'll show you the filtering process.
Okay.
So that's on 10, and then.
Great. So here is the hummus. It's a lovely texture. It's absolutely perfect. And the testament to that is actually my eldest son, who eats loads of hummus. This is one of my biggest cost savings, because as a house with Hold, we used to get through 6 to 8 pots of hummus that I bought every single week. So any saving has got to be a big plus. And this is the first time I've been able to actually make it with the Thermomix and for it to be accepted as an alternative. So that was really fab news. Now, just working out the cost, if I include the sesame seeds, because that does increase the cost, it works out at £1.60 to make 686 grams. Now, bearing in mind that a normal pot of hummus that you buy is 200 grams, and in Sainsbury's you would pay £1.20 for that. It works out on this basis as 47 pence per pot. So comparing with Sainsbury's prices, you actually save 73 pence per pot. And you can imagine that even if I just buy 6 in a week, that's actually a £4.38 saving in every week. Now, granted, not everybody will eat as much hummus as that, but that's what we did as a household. And if you actually take out the sesame seeds, which he loves it without even that, nearly half of the cost is on the sesame seeds, because I've just priced in a kind of a little pot from the Sainsbury's, which probably isn't the most economical way to get it. So you would save even more if you did it without that. So that has been a definite big saving for us in our household. Okay.
Great. Should we go over, Michaela, is it finished? Or do you want me to do some dough? Oh, is Michaela there? Should we come to me? Are you still? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Right. So I'm going to show you the quick flatbreads to start with. So remember the yogurt. This is the yogurt dough. So all I've done is I've divided it into 4 pieces. Just roughly divide it into 4 pieces. And all I'm going to do is just flatten it out. Get a little bit of flour down, and then you want to. Again, the recipe talks you through this step by step. And if you're not confident with bread, one of the great things with the Thermomix is there are on-screen videos. Now, this couldn't be simpler. I mean, you can roll them out quite easily. But if you're making something like baguettes and you don't know how to do it, then there are actually on-screen video tutorials which will walk you through the shaping process. The recipe tells me that I need to roll this out to about 20 centimetres. So let's just angle you down. Ooh, a bit skew-whiffed there. So I've got one of these brilliant Thermomix baking mats. Now, if you haven't bagged yourself one of these yet, we are giving them away free this month if you host a demo with 3 to 4 guests. So that can be online, or it can be in person with your advisor, and you can invite 3 or 4 people around, and we will take you all through some delicious recipes, and you will get to obviously enjoy the fruits of your labour after that. So you will get yourself one of these fab silicone baking mats, and they are baking mats, so they are oven safe. You can put them in the oven, you can put them in the freezer. Mine doesn't go in the oven. I just use it because I love the guides on here to roll out with. It's really, really handy. So I'm just rolling out to about 20 centimetres. And then if I just bring you over, I'm just going to unclip you actually and bring you over here. Oh, that's better. Or maybe not. I've got on my hob, you can see I've got all my yogurt jars there, but I've got a really hot griddle pan. So you can use the frying pan if you don't happen to have one of these griddle pans. And all I'm going to do, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to just sit that there. Try and angle you downwards a bit, but I'm not sure it's going to work actually. There we go. So you can see that. I'm just going to pop this flatbread onto the griddle. It's going to take probably about a minute, maybe not even a minute to cook. We're going to get some lovely colouring on the underside, and then we're just going to flip it over. So I'm going to leave that. Somebody remind me, because I know what will happen. I'll get stuck into rolling out my dough. I'm just going to show you some Pizza Express dough balls next, because these, again, fantastic saving. I cannot get over the cost of the dough ball boxes in the supermarket. I think it's something ridiculous, like £3.50 for a box that serves 2. So if you had a family of 4 and you wanted some dough balls, it would cost you £7. Now I'm going to show you, you won't believe, people that are on my group will have seen me do this many times. I don't want lots of flour on my work surface when I'm rolling out, because I want the tension there. So I'm going to roll into a long, I've just grabbed a piece of dough and I'm going to roll into a long sausage. My oven is on at about 200 degrees. I'm just going to roll this out. I'm trying to do this a bit more quickly for you so you don't have to. So all you can see is I'm going from the center out, so I can keep an even diameter on that sausage. Now, Claire, I know you're going to have lots of fun with that one. I dread to think what she's going to come up with now. Claire is the queen of the innuendo. So there's my lovely long sausage. I'm just going to keep an eye on my flatbread behind me. Yes, I've got some lovely colour on there. So let's just flip that over. That just looks lovely, doesn't it? So let's pop that there and bring you back here. Then all I'm going to do is just, right now I've got people fighting next to me. Fabulous. I swear, actually, half my customers just come on to witness what goes on with the kids in the background. Then all I'm going to do is just cut sections like this. Just cut sections off. So they don't have to be perfect, like little pillows when they come off, right? Almost like gnocchi shape. So again, if you're making gnocchi, which is something ever so easy, it's the same principle to make gnocchi. You just get your long roll and then just cut sections. They don't have to be perfect. What do I want? I want a baking sheet, which I had out.
Hayley, do you mean her dough cutter? Is that the tool you're making reference to, the red one? Or her griddle?
Yes.
Yeah,
then my dough scraper. It's called a dough scraper. They're a couple of quid. You can probably get them on eBay or Amazon. Or baking supplies. I can't think where I got mine from now. But you can also use, if you've got an old TM5, we used to have harder spatula tops. So you can actually use the spatula to portion dough. In fact, lots of advisors do that at demos. All I'm going to do, I'm just dropping them onto a sheet. Can you see that? Just like that. On they go. And then into a hot oven for 5 minutes. I'm just going to pop that into the oven and set my timer for 5 minutes. And that is all dough balls are. You can serve that with homemade garlic butter. So you can make your own butter. Again, even bigger cost savings if you make your own butter and double cream. We often do it at demos. So we're not going to do that tonight. But if you follow my YouTube channel, then you will see lots of demos to show you how to make your own butter. Then you can flavour it, garlic and parsley, do all sorts of fancy butters. Ooh, right, I'm going to get this off the griddle because it will be cooked now. Can you see? So I've made this lovely flatbread, which I made kebabs in for a week. In fact, we made gyros, and I used these. I just rolled them out a bit thinner so that they were a little bit bigger, and we filled them with the beautiful meats and then thinly sliced cabbage and salad. And it was the kids absolutely devoured them. These are so cheap to make. They work out as something ridiculous like 9p each when you make them yourself. If you buy a pack from Asda of 4 flatbread wraps, and it will be more expensive in Waitrose, they're about 30p each. So again, another cost saving. Plus, you know exactly what's in it. When you start looking at the back of the plastic packaging with bread, it's quite horrifying actually to see the list of ingredients. All we put in here is flour, yogurt, baking powder and salt. So all natural. We've also minimised our plastic packaging and waste, and we saved ourselves some money as well. So that is the flatbread. We are going to come back to Michaela to finish off in just a second, But I just want to say to you, you can make naans actually using this white pizza dough recipe. I also make naan breads. So for a naan bread, I will just take off usually about 100 grams. And we've got Taruna on here, who is an absolute expert, if she's still on here, in Indian cookery. I'm very excited that Taruna is joining the team. In fact, Taruna, sorry, I should have introduced you at the start as an advisor.
That's fine, that's fine.
But so I'm really excited to have Taruna because she's an absolute expert in Indian cookery. So we're going to have all her expertise and we're going to do a demo, I'm hoping, together shortly, in fact, next week. And then, so to make naan bread, again, I usually take off about 100 gram portions. You can make Peshwari fillings. Again, it just walks you through it step by step in the Thermomix. It couldn't be easier. When I do my Peshwaris, I just have coconut and almond. And I think I put some sultanas in there, or dates for sweetness. And I will just roll out literally a teardrop sort of shape. You can make them any shape you want. You can do garlic and coriander naans. So the garlic and coriander naans are about 10 to 15p each when you make them yourself. And if you buy a 2-pack in the supermarket, they are about £1.50. So again, you can see the sorts of savings. So that, I would just cook that as a naan bread, a flat bread. Taruna is going to show me how to make a proper naan bread, but I would just cook that in the oven at 200 degrees for about 7 minutes. That's naan. But I can also make this into a pita bread. So I can use this to make pita bread. Exactly the same, about 100 gram portion. I'd roll it out to a teardrop shape, pop it onto a baking sheet, flat baking sheet lined with a little bit of baking paper or the silicone paper. Bake it again about 7 minutes, 200 degrees, and it will puff up like a pita bread. So if you want to make your pizza express bruschetta, I often do it just using bread exactly like this. I just put some scores in the bread so it doesn't rise up too much. Bake it in the oven, 7 minutes, 200 degrees. Cut up some tomatoes. Use my fresh pesto, a little bit of olive oil and some seasoning, and my homemade garlic butter. Brush the homemade garlic butter over the top. Top with the bruschetta topping. Absolutely delicious. Super simple. Lovely light summery lunch. And you're saving yourself an absolute fortune versus eating out. So again, another huge cost saving. So I think we're going to go finally back. Dinner at mine. We're going to go back, all of you with Thermomixes. You've got no excuse. We're showing you how to do it, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? And giving you the confidence and the experience to be able to do it yourself. And that's the joy of these demos. And of course, as customers, you get access to all the demos that we do, so that we help you maximize your machine and get the most out of it. So let's go back to Michaela now, finally, to show us her almond milk.
Here it is, delicious almond milk. So all I did was it really mixed that all up in 3 minutes. The instructions are use the simmering basket, line it with muslin. I don't do that. I bought this nut bag. Sorry, it's a bit wet, so that's the discoloration. Nut bag, three or 4 quid off Amazon. I've got a few of those. And then I just literally sieve that through the nut bag. And what I did then in the jar, look, I've bottled up my almond milk. Here's some from earlier. So this has just cost me 99p, right? It costs for a litre in the supermarket £1.40. But that's not all that I'm doing here. This is just almonds and water. Nothing else. It's really thick and creamy, and mine never separates, so I don't have to worry about it. So in a shop bought equivalent, and again, I'm not saying it's totally bad because they need to do this so it has a shelf life, but you look at any plant-based, nut-based milk, and it is only 3 to 6% of that nut. The rest, there's salts in there, there's glue, there's obviously water, and it's just so low. Water and almonds, that's all it is. So not only am I making a 41p saving, and actually know that what I'm putting inside is absolutely pure. Now here we have, look, can you see that is my almond meal? Now there is actually a new recipe book called Zero Waste, and they have several recipes that you can now use this with. I think there's an almond and raspberry cake. Oh, if only I could eat cake. Or at the moment in our healthy stage, we're having raw cacao brownies, and that will just use that up. So I'll make those in the morning. So that is almond milk made in 3 minutes, saving yourself 41 pence, and literally no additives, no glue, no preservatives. One final tip also, because this hasn't got stabilizers in, I do use this within about 3 days. I go through about 3 litres. But if you find that your coffee or tea, which is normally because it's too hot, and you put this in and it separates, you literally put a gram or two of bicarbonate of soda into your hot drink and it won't separate. It then just stabilizes it for you. So there's a top tip for you as well. That's me done. Thank you very much. Oh, where's Lindsay?
Absolutely fantastic. And what a great tip, actually, because when I've made homemade oat milk in the past, oat milk is ever so easy and super cheap. But the trouble is, whereas you can drink it and you can make porridge with it, the second you put it into hot drinks, it separates and it's not very nice. So I am determined now to go back to making my own oat milk and trying that, just a few grains of bicarbonate of soda, and hopefully that will be the difference. So I hope everybody's enjoyed that. I don't think, I have just got one thing to show you. We will show the finished. I think we don't need to show all the finished things because I think we sort of show them as we go along. But these are my dough balls. So just my oven was slightly too hot. So I think if you're going to do dough balls, you'd probably want to do them at 180 for about 5 minutes, maybe 190. Mine was up at 200 because I've got it preheating for pizzas. But so I've got a little bit of coloration on there, but can you see they're absolutely delicious and lovely dipped in garlic butter. Super easy, really quick to make. So, the pizza dough took 2 minutes. You could whip these up as an after school snack, or if you've got people coming round, and you will save yourself lots of money in the process. Now, the final thing I've got to say for people that are thinking about buying Thermomix this evening is in terms of the cost of it, we have got a great offer on this month. In fact, an offer that we don't often see. Normally, so the first thing to say is obviously the Thermomix is never discounted. So if you're waiting for them to knock 10% off the price, or you get a great discount like that, then you will be waiting forever, because Thermomix simply don't discount. So again, if you look online and see Thermomix advertised at discount, it will be a scam site. And we have many people caught out by them who have lost a lot of money through placing their orders through these scam sites. So the only place to buy Thermomix is either through the website or preferably through an advisor, because if you just go on and buy directly through the website, you will not be offered the monthly customer promotion. You can't do the finance program either. And you also, and crucially for you, will not get the services of an advisor like one of us to walk you through getting started with your Thermomix and then helping you to get the most out of your Thermomix on a day-to-day basis. So you won't get access to any of that. So it's always best to go through an advisor. So if we've got potential customers on here tonight, please go back to your advisor or the person that has directed you here this evening if you are going to go forward and purchase, and don't just go online and buy one outright because you will be missing out on a huge amount of help. So this month's offer is a free, so this is our ThermoServer bowl. These are hot property amongst Thermomix customers. Because the main reason, you can't actually buy them in the UK. So a lot of customers resort to getting them shipped over from Australia at some huge cost. But these are brilliant because you can actually sit them in your Varoma and ferment yogurt in them. You can ferment dough in them. But they're double walled, stainless steel double walled, so they keep hot food hot and cold food cold. So you can put ice in here or ice creams when you make quick ice creams, and it will stay frozen for 3 hours. And they look really lovely on the table. Now they're usually £55, and we've only ever had them in a higher price bundle offer before. But for June only, we are giving you away one ThermoServer worth £55 with every Thermomix ordered. So the Thermomix is 1149. We offer finance splits as well. So if you want to pay over 1, 2 or 3 years, you can break down the cost. On a 1-year plan, you're looking at about £95 a month. On a 2-year plan, it's about 56. And on a 3-year plan, it's £36 a month. And our saying in the group is you will save more than it costs to buy. We see that from our own personal experience. We see that from the personal experience of all our customers. And every single person says they wish they'd bought their Thermomix the day they saw it rather than waited months, sometimes even years, to get their heads around it. So I'd go back to the beginning of the chat, but I think there's been a lot of chat since we started, and I just want people to sort of call out how much they think on the items. Hang on. Oh no, I've got a tickle in my throat. I'm going to have to next.
So Lindsay, we had a range of some £15 saving on the whole menu tonight, up to, I think the highest one was £55. So then we've got 50, 43, 25, 27, 30. So quite a big variation there. Claire and I were trying to keep track of you all. I don't know if you've got the grand total in the end, Lindsay.
Too fast.
Yes, I don't know what happened. I haven't even been having naughty sort of mouthfuls of stuff that I've cooked because I haven't eaten dinner yet. I know, I've got a tickle in my throat. Anyway, I blame that pollen, the hay fever. Yes, so I've put I've been keeping track as well. So it will depend how much we've sort of how many times we count a certain product, because obviously sometimes you're making multiple things a week, but I've got it down to about £60. I've got it up to rather £60 a week, based on what we have made this evening and based on a family of 4. Hopefully that will compare to you. You'll probably say, "Oh no, that's rubbish. That's double what I've got." But yes, I think a fair sort of assumption is about £60 a week. So if you think that even on the 1-year plan, a Thermomix costs something like £25 a week, you've tripled that cost saving just on what we've made this evening, which is phenomenal, isn't it? So who was that? Larissa, did she get it? Was she the closest?
Well, I think Larissa said 55, but she said she was going to say 60. So there you go, Larissa.
Yes, Larissa.
You lady who hasn't got a Thermomix, you need one because you know how much money you're wasting.
And what I'm going to say for Larissa, and I should have announced this at the start, but as she is our lucky winner, we will be sending something out to Larissa. So I think you are connected to Taruna, aren't you? So if you give Taruna your details, I'll get something sent out to you in the post as a little thank you for joining us this evening. And hopefully we'll get you off to a good start with your Thermomix journey as well, if you decide to take the plunge with us. Great. So well done, Larissa. So I hope you've all enjoyed that this evening. We've just finished sort of right on time, actually. I would have loved to have kept this to a sort of 8:30 finish, but it was never going to happen with the ambitious menu that we had. But we felt it was really important to try and show you as much as we could, obviously, just to show you how those savings stack up and how easy it is to make all these amazing items with your Thermomix and have a lot of fun in the process. A Thermomix, we can't sort of describe us owners, it just makes cooking so much fun, more fun, even for people that already love to cook. So I come across people that say, "Oh, it's probably not for me because I love cooking." Well, I can tell you categorically, I'm a trained chef. I absolutely love cooking. I'd spend all day long in the kitchen if I could. And I love cooking even more with my Thermomix because it just means that I can do a lot more and play around. So hopefully you've had a lovely evening. And we've inspired you to use your Thermomix in some different ways. Please be in contact with your advisor if you've got any questions, or feel free to use the customer group. Obviously look on my YouTube channel for all the other demos if you want to see them. And we will be organising another one in a few weeks, and we hope to see as many of you as possible there in a few weeks' time as well. So we'll all say bye-bye to everybody, and thank you for coming.
Thank you to my customers. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to my customers as well, and advisors if you just want to stay on. Oh, hi, Susan Ogden. Hi, Oggy. Yeah, nice to see you. Who have we got as well? Is Lorraine still with us? Hi, Nadine. Who have we got as well?
Don't forget to
You
stop
might have lost.
recording.
Yeah, will do. Yeah, well done. Great point. Okay, right, recording.